It's no surprise that the Falcons needed to upgrade their defense going into the offseason, but what nobody accounted for was them actually upgrading the defensive back room as well. If you look on this roster right now, there are arguably 7 quality defensive backs in this room. And this is excluding Kobe Bryant, who I think we will develop eventually to be our cornerback too, and D. Offer, who may not have the best reputation with fans, but we saw him in 2023 be very good under the right scheme. And if you pay close attention to the DNA of this defense, it resembles 2 defenses in recent memory. That first defense being the Dallas Cowboys from the early 2020s, this was an attacking group that forced mistakes, created havoc, and played with a relentless edge. From man-heavy pressure looks to more balanced 2-high zone rotations, Dan Quinn evolved that scheme each year he was in Dallas. And the second unit I had to compare them to was the late 2010s, early 2020s Belichick defenses. His units were versatile, disguise heavy, and built to take away what you do best. From hybrid fronts to simulated pressures and post-snap coverage rotations, stylistically that defense is patient, reactive, and layered, based on communicating at a high level, and they force you to execute perfectly down the field. And the common denominator between the 2 defenses is the one package that they both used a lot, and that was the dime defense. And while I was doing my research for this video, I quickly found out that in 2023 under Ryan Nielsen, the Falcons used the dime defense a lot. And not only that, we were highly effective at it. So this wouldn't be a foreign concept to most of the guys in the room right now. And so to catch up the casual fan on what a dime defense is, let's go ahead and get into the chalk talk part of this video. So I'm finna just teach y'all some of the basic things. It's probably like base and sub personnel, because those are 2 blanket terms. And we're not gonna be long, so just stick with me real quick for the people who don't know. So when we think base personnel for defense and offense, we are thinking for offense, we think of 2 receivers on the field. That's what base pretty much means, because that means we can get into 2 running backs and 1 tight end. We can get into 2 tight ends and 1 running back. But just know at the end of the day that your base personnel is those 2 receivers on the field at all times. Okay. Now, when we get to base personnel on defense, at the end of the day, the best way to figure it out is if you're in base on defense, you have 4 defensive backs on the field, and you can do whatever on the front 7. Okay. Now we get into the sub defenses. This is the first version. This is nickel. This is what we run. This is a 5-1 penny front. Now at its core, nickel is 5 DBs. Okay, if you didn't know. And once again, you can get into this front 6 however you want. It could be 4-2-5. It could be 3-3-5. It could be 2-4-5. As long as you have these 5 DBs, you are fine. Now with this 5th DB, usually some teams will make this a safety instead of a corner, because you see a lot of corners playing nickel because you have those speedy slot receivers that are just cooking guys over the middle. Usually this would be a corner, but in some teams like the Ravens, like the Lions, and some other teams probably do it where they have a safety plan, that nickel position, where you can still cover, but we also don't necessarily give up a lot in the run game, because sometimes these nickel guys, they have to be in the run fit. And a lot of teams will run right at your nickel backer because they know that is a corner most times and they don't want to tackle. But if you got a safety right here who's willing to get dirty in the run game, a la Billy Bowman Jr., he's willing to do that, you could put him at nickel. Then we have a first version of dime. This is a 2-3-6 where you have your 2 linemen, your 3 linebackers, and then your 6 DBs on the back end, okay? And then what I think we would run if we were to run dime, and I'm gonna give y'all an example. I'm just gonna drop some stuff real quick. This is a 1-4-6 odd. Now, what I mean by odd is the type of front. So if you look at this, the way I see an odd front, odd number of people on the line. So you see 1, 2, 3, okay, that's an odd front. You see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's a part of the front. You're probably asking, why is he all the way out here? We're in a penny front. If you do have a tight end flexed out or you're in a spread set, that lineman or that linebacker that's on the line has to like apex pretty much, or be in between these 2 guys, or the line and the tight end, or whoever that is, right? You have to show your presence right here. But then we get over here and you see 4 linemen. That means it's an even front. Now, even though it's only 2 linemen and the 2 outside linebackers, it's still an even front. We are in a dime 1-4-6 odd. That means you have your 1 lineman, your 4 linebackers, and then your 6 DBs, okay? Now, the reason why I would say we should probably run some more dime, or we could see some more dime, is because 1, our defensive back room is loaded, and 2, when we did run dime, it was super effective. And one of the reasons why, it's just so easy to disguise your coverage out of it. So this is probably what some people call sugar, and that means you're going to walk up both of your linebackers to the line of scrimmage to present pressure and cause confusion on the line. And for example, say we want to do a 33 blitz, which means 3 deep, 3 underneath, and you're playing a 5-man pressure up under that. So let's get rid of that. Let's paint out the personnel real quick, okay? Now, we could have David Onyemata in the middle playing nose. I've seen him play nose. At Mike and Will, for this dime package specifically, we're going to put Devon Diablo at Mike and Troy Anderson at Will. That is an athletic duo at linebacker in this package. At Sam and Jack, I will put Jalen Walker at Sam, and I will put James Pierce Jr. at Jack. Jack means you're probably going to be rushing the passer way more than not. Sam, you probably have more of that off-ball responsibility where you're dropping into coverage on the sim pressure or whatever. And then we have at nickel, I would put Billy Bowman Jr. He can play that nickel position where he can get dirty in the run and cover if need be. At dime backer, this is where it gets interesting. I will put DeMarco Helms at dime backer, okay? He can do some of everything as far as playing on the run and covering. He's a very good cover safety too. Don't underrate him. Over the X, I'm putting AJ, no questions asked. At strong safety, I'm going to put Xavier Watts, okay? Free safety, we're putting Jessie Bates. Let him play his free safety role like he always does. And then we're going to have Mike Hughes on the other corner, okay? So let's paint a picture. We're playing the Rams. They love these condensed formations. I just drew up some kind of random condensed formation, and that means, you know, the formation splits are a little bit tighter, okay? And like I said, say we want to do a 33 blitz. So pre-snap, we would show this look. You don't know who's coming. You see the two linebackers on the line of scrimmage mugging. You have your dime or nickel close to the line. That's also presenting a pressure. So you could realistically think 7 guys are coming if they're in a blitz zero look, because these guys are over the number 2. These guys are over the number 1. These guys are very close to the line. You could probably think 0 in this situation. But when that ball is snapped, let's say Xavier rotates down and plays his middle hook, or he has to relate to 3 in some cases. Jesse's going to play that deep third. Mike's going to play his deep third. AJ's going to play his deep third, okay? And let's say we want to send both of our diamond nickel backers, okay? So we're going to send DeMarco. We're going to send Jalen on the inside rush. You know, we're going to send Billy Bowman on a nail blitz. We're going to blitz Troy Anderson. Obviously, David Onyemata is going to be in this pressure too. And by rule, we have to drop somebody out of here, okay? So I would put it as James Pierce Jr. playing this seam flat, because we're going to need 5 in the rush. We already have our 5, but we're gonna need 6 on the back end. And then I would have Devon Diablo playing this seam flat right here. You don't know who's coming from where. And so since we know this is more match based, so for example, let's do like a cell concept. We're gonna make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't get as messy. We're gonna have a runoff right here. We're going to have a cell route by the number 2, and then we're gonna have a fast 3. Now also, the Shanahan system, they love running flood concepts. So say we're playing the Rams, they're gonna be running this flood concept all day. Then backside, we're going to do drive, where we have the Z running the drive route. Then we're going to have the F do a basic route. So it's a full field read for the quarterback, but we're in dime, so you don't know who's coming from where. So if we're going to talk about the match-based rules of this defense, we know AJ's going to take this out of there. We know that's going to be dead, okay? Since we have a fast 3, that means this is the number 3 receiver. He will be fast to the flat. The linebacker's matching him now, okay? And since we know that fast 3 is there, Xavier Watts has to pick up this corner route or cell route. So once we see that fast 3, he will come down and get right back on top of that. Okay, cool. Jesse's playing his deep middle. We already know what this is. But since we could probably do a cut call where we see number 2 go in, or he's going across deep, we know Jesse's going to come off of that and go on this basic route. James Pierce Jr. is going to see 2 go vertical. He's going to see 1 come underneath, and he's going to match that all the way. And we're probably going to have Mike Hughes follow this wherever it goes, okay? He's going to follow whoever. So this is why something like this is so crazy to do, because it's so confusing. You don't know who's coming from where, and it's just crazy. And the pressure is going to be insane, especially if we can get home too. So let's get into the film. When you look at the Falcons secondary in 2025, you can tell it's being built with intention, blending the best of the 2 proven defensive philosophies. On one side, you have guys like Billy Bowman Jr. and Clark Phillips III, aggressive, high-motor DBs with that Dallas Cowboys DNA. They play fast, they trust their instincts, and they aren't afraid to gamble when they see something. It's that turnover hunting mindset, jump the route, take the shot, change the game. Then you've got guys like Jessie Bates and Xavier Watts, who bring that Belichick element. Disciplined, cerebral, and always 1 step ahead. These guys win from the neck up. They read the quarterback, anticipate the concept, and position themselves to erase mistakes before they happen. You're not going to fool them twice. That contrast is what makes the Falcons coverage unit so unique. You've got the chaos creators and the field generals in the same secondary, and that balance is quietly giving Atlanta one of the smartest and most versatile DB rooms in this league. And in 2023, our defense had a 48% pressure rate when they were in dime on nearly 200 snaps. That is insanely efficient. And it all starts with the coverage disguise on the back end. Let's take a look at this rep from late in the season last year. If you're Gardner Minshew, what are you thinking pre-snap? Is it man coverage with a rat? Is it man coverage with a 5-man pressure? Or is it all out zero blitz? And once the receiver motions in to create a pseudo bunch, you start to get a clearer picture of what this defense is. Jessie bases rolling to a too high look, but you still don't know what this defense is in. DeMarco Hellams could drop down. They could do some kind of crazy rotation. The disguise is still there. All they did was just move a safety pre-snap. Gardner Minshew has to process this in real time. And as you can see, the pocket is also collapsing on him, surprisingly. And if you see everybody that's being accounted for, you see DeMarco Hellams is playing poach on this first end breaker, while Richie Grant also has vision on it. Jessie Bates is about to drive on this second end breaker and also has underneath help from the linebacker and defensive back. And then Clark Phillips also has vision on Josh Downs, who's just sitting down. So not only did we succeed in getting him to hold the ball from longer than he wants, the pressure also got home. And once he evaded this pressure, he was off schedule. And you know, if we have Gardner Minshew off schedule, I'm living with that result every day. We just got to come down with the ball next time, man. And these coverage disguises aren't just limited to 4-man pressures. We can also send heat while disguising. On this play, Ryan Nielsen dialed up a 2 deep 4 under blitz where we send the slot on a blitz and we drop out the defensive end on the other side. This is what we call a zone replace when we're doing a zone blitz, where we send a second level defender and drop out somebody from the defensive front. And this is also a great example of the coverage and the rush working as one, because after this short motion, Baker Mayfield IDs this slot blitz and he has an answer for it, but when Kaden Ellis screams up under it, it gets him off his first read. This also gives AJ Terrell enough time to recover to the nearest receiver and he's able to make a play on this ball. This is some great stuff that we did. And with all the crazy rotations and chaos created on the back end, it also generates something that we haven't seen in a long time. And that's consistent pressure on the quarterback. Our problem last year is that we never got quarterbacks off of their first read, and they got in rhythms very quickly. And when we come out in the dime defense, I feel like that will just pretty much neutralize a lot of that, because quarterbacks will hold the ball longer and you can send pressure from pretty much anywhere. And like any type of defense and defensive philosophy, it has its drawbacks, but I'm willing to bet that our guys have that versatility to at least nullify those weaknesses to some extent. This defense has a clear direction and they also have the versatility pieces to run what I think we could run. Belichick did it, Dan Quinn did it, why not us? And we can have success with it doing the same thing with just as good, if not better, personnel around the team. There will still be a place for nickel and base, because if we stay in dime all the time, teams are just going to run us out of it. We aren't going to be stubborn like Dallas. But I really do feel like in those second and longs and third and longs, we can actually turn to this personnel package and run it and be very effective at it. And this type of idea is right in line with what Jeff Ulbrich wants to do with this amoeba style defense that's ever changing from week to week. Anyways, y'all, if y'all did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. I do upload stuff like this very often. This is pretty much kind of like a yap session video where I'm just throwing out ideas of what we could possibly see next season. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy this, be sure to like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys later next video. Goodbye.